I used to joke that my ringtone was PTSD in audio form. The truth wasn't funny. For 7 years straight, I was the guy who slept with a laptop on his chest and a charger in the wall, because any second, day, or night, someone from infrastructure operations could call me with those 6 words that made my stomach twist. Hey Greg, the system's down again. There's a particular kind of silence you learn in IT right before an alert. It's the silence between 1:43 a.m. and 1:44 a.m. when the pager app lights up and the house is pitch black. You sit up, heart pounding, eyes dry, cursor already opening SSH before your brain fully wakes up. Your girlfriend stirs, sighs, and turns away. You tell yourself it's temporary, just until the company hires more staff. That promise repeats for years. I worked for a mid-sized logistics platform, not big enough to have real SREs, not small enough to fail quietly. We were the kind of company where every bug meant money bleeding somewhere, delivery orders vanishing, invoices duplicating, drivers stranded. And because I knew the systems best, I became the 24/7 guy. My reward? Management pizza. And you're a lifesaver, Greg. No raise, no time off. Just gratitude wrapped in exhaustion. I tried to set boundaries. I wrote documentation, trained juniors, even proposed hiring a rotation engineer. My manager, Mark, would nod and say, "We'll revisit that next quarter." He never did. The team learned that Greg would handle it. Greg always did. The breaking point came during what HR called Wellness Week. We were supposed to unplug early Friday. I'd planned to finally drive out of town. No laptop, no pager. Thursday night, the database replica failed. I fixed it remotely in 20 minutes. Told Mark I'd burned another evening. His reply, "Appreciate it, but I'm going to need you on standby this weekend too, just in case we push the new patch." I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. Then I typed 2 words I'd never written before. "I'm done." He thought I was joking. "You mean done for the day?" "No, Mark. I mean I quit." Silence. Then a long ellipsis bubble that disappeared and never came back. The next morning, HR booked an exit interview. It lasted 8 minutes. They asked if I had company property, thanked me for my contributions, and slid a generic NDA across the table. No handshake, no team goodbye. My badge stopped working before I reached the parking lot. 7 years, hundreds of midnight calls, dozens of saved deployments, and that was it. No thanks, no message, not even a LinkedIn tag. Driving home, I realized something. For all their talk about teamwork and transparency, I was invisible the moment I logged off. But I also realized something else. They had no idea how much of the infrastructure still lived under my name. Those temporary fixes Mark refused to budget for? The CI/CD runners monitoring webhooks and alert gateways. They all ran through my personal accounts, my cloud credits, my billing. I'd flagged it dozens of times. "We should migrate these," I'd said. "Procurement's slow," he'd replied. "We'll clean it up later." Later never came. I drafted a clean, professional handover document, listed every system, every dependency, every pending ticket. I highlighted the ones hosted under my credentials in bright yellow. Temporary service billed to Greg's account. Requires company migration by end of quarter. I sent it to Mark, CC'd HR, and archived the email. Their reply came 3 hours later. "Thanks for the summary. We'll handle it internally." That night, I sat on my couch for the first time without a laptop humming beside me. The silence felt alien. I opened the pager app one last time, looked at the history, hundreds of incidents, endless pings, and deleted it. No alerts, no noise, just peace. The following Monday, I got a message from an ex-coworker. "Hey man, congrats on escaping. Mark's already acting like nothing will break." I smiled. "Give it time," I typed, because deep down, I knew what they didn't. When you build a company on borrowed time and unpaid labor, time always collects its debt, and Greg had just stopped paying. The first Monday of my unemployment felt like jet lag. I kept glancing at my phone, half expecting that old vibration pattern, short, long, short, that used to jolt me out of bed. But the phone stayed quiet. For the first time in years, quiet actually meant nothing was wrong. I made coffee without checking dashboards. I sat on my porch and watched the neighborhood wake up. Sprinklers clicking, dogs barking, the mail truck humming down the street. I was free, but freedom has a strange aftertaste when you've lived on adrenaline. My brain kept replaying old habits. Check up time, check Slack, check logs, and then stop. You don't work there anymore. Still, a part of me wondered how long they'd last without me. 3 days after quitting, I got the first ping, not from the company, but from my bank. A charge hit my personal card for one of the temporary monitoring accounts, the same one that triggered all the company's on-call alerts. I sighed, opened my old notes, and saw the monthly total. 47.19. 7 years of this nonsense. Thousands of dollars paid out of pocket to keep their system alive. So I did what any sane ex-employee would do. I canceled every auto payment tied to the company. 1 click per service. One closure after another. The CI/CD runner, the status proxy, the webhook tunnel, all billed to me, all now gone. No anger, no revenge, just closure. I sent one final courtesy email to Mark and HR. Subject: Final account notice. Hi all. As mentioned in my handover doc, several automation services currently run under my personal billing accounts. These will deactivate this week. Please ensure migration to company infrastructure ASAP. Best, Greg. I even attached the document again just to make sure they couldn't claim ignorance later. Mark replied an hour later, short, smug, predictable. All good. We're covered. Thanks again and best of luck. That "we're covered" line made me laugh. I almost wanted to warn him again, but no, he'd made it clear. My advice was noise. So I logged out for good. A week passed. Nothing. Then on Saturday night, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it ring twice. Curiosity winning on the third. Greg? Hey, it's, Dave. From Ops. I smiled. Hey, Dave. Everything okay? Not really, man. The alert system's weird. We didn't get paged for 3 outages today. Mark said you might have changed something. Nope, I said calmly. Everything I built is in the docs. Did you guys migrate it? There was silence, just breathing. Then, he said it was already handled. Then I guess it's handled, I said, and ended the call. That night, I slept like a stone. By Monday, the whispers began. Screenshots leaked through old coworkers, alerts that never triggered, pipelines that stalled mid-deploy, random cron jobs failing because the credentials had expired. People were scrambling. I didn't celebrate. It wasn't sabotage. I just stopped paying their bills. Tuesday, I got another message from Dave. Bro, Mark's losing it. He said you're holding systems hostage. Legal might contact you. I laughed out loud. Tell him to check the email thread. Everything's documented. And it was. Every request for a budget, every approval ignored, every timestamp proving those services were never officially adopted. They'd run for years under my name because Mark didn't want to waste time with procurement. By Wednesday, someone from HR finally wrote, Greg, hope you're well. We've noticed some legacy tools recently became unavailable. Could you provide guidance on restoring them? I replied within a minute. Of course. The process is in my offboarding doc under Section 3, Service Ownership. Should take a few hours for someone with access to company billing. Best of luck. No response. By Friday, the chaos hit the higher-ups. Clients complained about missed status updates, executives wanted answers, and Mark, predictably, blamed the previous engineer. But screenshots don't lie. Someone in finance found my invoices. Every single one billed to Gregory L. Turner, not the company. 7 years of receipts. Thousands of dollars. My personal card. That's when the narrative shifted. Suddenly, HR wanted to touch base. Mark went silent on Slack, and I got one last email, short and desperate. From mark@rucompany.com. Subject, urgent, quick call. Greg, please, can we talk? The monitoring vendor says you were the billing contact. We need access ASAP. I stared at the screen for a long moment before replying. Hi, Mark. I'd love to help, but I'm no longer employed by the company. Everything I managed was outlined in my documentation. I trust you'll find what you need there. Regards, Greg. Send. I leaned back, closed my laptop, and exhaled. For years, they'd treated me like background noise, an engine that ran whether anyone thanked it or not. Now that engine was gone, and they were finally hearing the silence. And in that silence, Greg's revenge had only just begun. It started with a Slack message that nobody noticed. Saturday, 2:11 a.m., a junior engineer named Kevin posted in us infra alerts. Anyone else seeing timeout spikes on the client API? Pager duty's quiet, but traffic's tanking. No one replied. By 2:37 a.m., the company's biggest client had already tweeted that their delivery system was unavailable. By 2:41, the dashboards bled red. The logs were silent because the alerting service, the one that used to page me, was gone. Billing canceled. API keys revoked. For nearly an hour, no one in the company realized production was burning. I didn't know any of this in real time. I found out later when my phone lit up with an unfamiliar number at 3:09 a.m. I almost ignored it, but curiosity got the better of me. Greg, it's Mark. That voice. Tight. Panicked. Pretending to be calm. I sat up, turned on the light, said nothing. Let him fill the silence. We're having some minor incident. Seems like some of your old automation is causing issues with our paging system. My automation? I asked. You mean the one I told you to migrate 6 times? He inhaled sharply through his nose. Look, I don't want to argue. We just need temporary access to your account so we can restore alerts. I'm not authorized to give you access, I said evenly. Those were my personal services, Mark. Company policy forbade me from using them long term. I warned you about that. Well, silence. Then the old condescending tone returned, his attempt to reassert dominance. Greg, be reasonable. This isn't about you or me. It's about the company. I laughed softly. You mean the same company that couldn't even thank me when I quit? The one that's been handling it internally for 2 weeks? Greg, his voice cracked, we have clients offline. This could cost us millions. You should probably tell finance, I said. They have my invoices. They'll confirm those accounts were never corporate owned. Come on, man. Help me out here. You already told HR I was dramatic, I said quietly. Now's your moment to prove it. And I hung up. By morning, the fire had reached the boardroom. Clients were threatening penalties. Marketing was in damage control. Legal demanded a timeline of technical failures. And that's when Greg's paper trail detonated. See, I'd never deleted my emails. Every warning, every ignored ticket, every we'll handle it later thread, archived, timestamped, preserved. When HR reached out for context, I replied politely and attached a zipped archive of everything. Subject: context on legacy services. Please find attached all correspondence regarding alerting infrastructure ownership, billing records, and procurement requests. You'll see repeated advisories sent between July 2019 and February 2025. Best regards, Greg Turner. Yeah, I didn't expect a reply, but I got one. From legal. Thank you, Greg. This clarifies several discrepancies we're currently investigating. You may be contacted by internal audit. Audit. That single word probably froze Mark where he stood. Sunday evening, another number called. This time, it wasn't Mark. It was Catherine, the head of legal. Calm. Surgical. Greg, I want to be clear. We're not accusing you of anything. We just need your statement. Happy to cooperate, I said. Did you ever receive approval to bill these monitoring services under your personal account? No. I flagged it repeatedly as a compliance risk. Did management respond? Yes. Mark Richards told me, quote, just use your card for now. We'll reimburse later. He never did. She was silent for several seconds. I could almost hear her typing. And the access revocations? Standard practice. I disabled my accounts the day I left. Nothing malicious. It's in the exit email. Understood. We appreciate your time. I hung up feeling strangely light. For once, the system wasn't punishing the person who followed procedure. It was swallowing the one who ignored it. By Monday morning, the story broke internally. Critical outage traced to unauthorized use of personal infrastructure. Translation: Mark's shortcuts finally detonated. Finance confirmed $4,200 in unapproved expenses tied to my name. Audit found 6 ignored change requests under Mark's approval chain. The CTO wasn't happy. That afternoon, I got one last message from an old coworker. You won't believe this. They pulled Mark off the incident call. He's on leave. HR's doing interviews. People are quoting your emails like gospel. I didn't smile. I just stared at the message for a long time, then typed back, Tell them to document everything. They'll thank themselves later. That night, I went out for a beer alone. Sat on the patio, cool breeze on my face, city lights blinking like quiet servers. For 7 years, I'd lived inside those blinking lights. Now they were someone else's problem. Still, a part of me felt justice wasn't quite done yet. Mark had been exposed, but not humbled. Not yet. And fate, as it turned out, was saving the final push for him. By the time Monday turned into Tuesday, the company was in full crisis mode. The minor incident had turned into a public embarrassment. Missed SLAs, angry clients, an overnight post-mortem that ran until sunrise. I wasn't there, of course, but I didn't need to be. I knew exactly how it would sound. Who approved this architecture? Why was this running on a personal account? Why wasn't procurement notified? And somewhere in that sterile conference room, Mark Richards was sitting under fluorescent lights, sweating through his dress shirt while legal projected my emails on a wall-sized screen. Greg Turner wrote on July 14th, If we don't migrate the system, it will fail the next time billing expires. You replied, We'll handle it later. Too busy with deliverables. There's no sound like silence in a corporate room when the truth lands. By noon, he was suspended pending review. By 5, terminated for cause. I didn't celebrate. There was nothing left to prove. But karma has a funny sense of timing. The same HR manager who ghosted me during my exit reached out the next morning with a message that started the way all desperate corporate apologies start. Hi, Greg. Hope you're doing well. We'd love to discuss a possible short-term consulting engagement to help stabilize and document the infrastructure. Of course, under your terms. Under my terms. I read that line 3 times. Then I called her back. Sure, I said. But let's be clear. I don't do on-call anymore. I don't fix fires. I build fireproof systems. 3 weeks. Remote only. No meetings before 10 a.m., no Slack, and payment upfront. She hesitated. That's unusual. So was 7 years of free labor, I said. Silence. Then, understood. We'll send a contract. They paid my rate without negotiation. It was more than I'd made in 2 months at my old salary. When I logged into their new environment, I could almost smell the chaos. Broken pipelines, mismatched configs, leftover test environments named things like PLS don't delete final, real final. I didn't fix everything. I didn't have to. My job was to make sure no one else would ever need another Greg. So I built what they should have built years ago. Clean automation, clear documentation, real ownership. I handed them the keys with a single PDF titled, How Not to Burn Your Engineers Alive. On my last day, the new head of infrastructure, a sharp, calm woman named Priya, called me. Greg, I just want to say, she paused, I've never seen documentation like this. It's almost personal. It is, I said. That system cost me 7 years of sleep. I wanted to make sure no one else pays the same price. She was quiet for a moment. You know, Mark really messed this place up. He didn't, I said. He just thought people like me would never leave. When my contract ended, I signed the final invoice, closed the laptop, and deleted every work bookmark left on my browser. That night, I slept 12 hours straight. No pager, no vibration, no phantom alarm, just peace. And at 3 a.m., the hour I used to wake up in panic, I woke for a second out of habit. Then I smiled, rolled over, and went back to sleep. Somewhere across town, the servers hummed along quietly under someone else's watch. Everything stable, everything green. And Greg Turner, the guy who was just the on-call guy, finally got what every burned-out engineer dreams of. Silence that doesn't mean failure. Silence that means freedom.